All right, cool. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who has joined us today. This is the African Disciplined Agile Meetup, where we talk about everything agile, especially in the practical way. So we want to continue to show up every month, and we want to continue to share agile ideas, the practical tips, such that the 1 hour or 1 hour plus you spend with us here, once you go back to your environment, your context, your organization, you'll be able to apply one or two things. And it's just a safe environment where we can share ideas. So thank you for joining us. Today, we'll be talking all about Lean and Agile practices from the DA perspective. And then we have none other person than Alex to join us to facilitate today, Alex Gbaguidi. Just a little bit about Lean practices. So these are practices that have been put together, and they actually help in efficiency, in facilitating effectiveness, and of course, continuous improvement in organizations and also in environment. And these goes within the software environment, right? And so to unpack what Disciplined Agile says about Lean and Agile practices, we have Alex here to take us through that. So Alex is an experienced and versatile consultant, and he has over 20 years of experience in IT consulting. Of course, he has his background in telecommunications. And on top of that, he has done a lot of work on business intelligence. In the last 10 years, he has worked on so many, complex projects. He has also worked in several sectors: finance, aeronautics, energy, e-commerce, marketing, retail, and so on and so forth. Currently, he is sold out to teaching, Scrum and Agile and all other practices that come with it. So he's a professional Scrum trainer and is one of about 350 Scrum professional Scrum trainers, which is called a PST. He's also an authorized PMI training partner. Therefore, he has the capability and competence to talk about the Lean and Agile practices from Disciplined Agile perspective. He also is a program consultant with SAFE, that's the SPC. And I can go on and go on and go on. So I think I will hand over to Alex to take us forward because we are also mindful of time. We want to get the value we came here for. At the same time, we also want to keep on time. Alex, over to you.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much for having me and for allowing me to share the little I know about Lean, Agile, and Disciplined Agile with this great community. So I'm really happy that we have so many Agile practitioners with us today. So if you can hear me or not, let me know. I'll make sure I adjust the audio here. So so we're here today to talk about Lean and Agile practices from the DA perspective. If you don't know, DA, just like if you guys have the PMP certification, you have probably the PM book as a reference book. In DA also, we have a reference guide, which used to be this one, the orange one, and now we have a new edition of this reference book, if you don't have it. So I guess Pete have the newer version, right, Pete? Oh, you have the old one too. Okay, so I'm still waiting for my new one. That's the one. So yeah, it's a really interesting way to learn about DA, the different ways of working. It's a great book. So if you don't have it, suggestion. And also another one for Agile, if you're a PMI certified or a PMI member. Another one is an interesting one, is the Agile Practice Guide. I have a few extracts from these that I'm going to share today with you guys, just to start with that. So without further ado, let's jump right into it with Lean, right? So I'm going to start with the Lean, and we'll go to Agile and end up with Disciplined Agile and lifecycles. Here you have a little Toyota logo there because Lean is usually associated with Toyota and the manufacturing or the auto industry. what is Lean about, right? So I have a little diagram from the practice guide that just shows you, showing you kind of the connection between Lean and Agile. You see like the Lean universe and the Agile universe inside as part of the Lean practices. And you have Kanban that is kind of in the middle, right? Kind of have a foot in the Agile world, a foot in the Lean. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but I like this visual. I'm a visual learner, so I like to show this so that you can kind of situate the way all these universes interact and work together. Okay. Okay, I think we have a few people to mute here. All right, thank you, Pete. So if you have a question at any time, feel free to enter them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. If I don't know, I'll let you know that I don't know. And we have an expert here who is Pete, who is a DA VSC, so he might have great answers. So Pete, I might pass a few to you, no problem. All right, so what is Lean, right? So Lean is have been used in so many different industries. We talked about the car industry just a moment ago. We use it a lot in aeronautics. A question that we have in the DA training is, which part of the plane is responsible of the flight? Do you know the answer to that question? Anybody? Which part of the plane? Please tell me, help me with that one. I would love to hear from you. Who can tell me? Nobody? Don't be shy, come on guys. Which part of the plane is responsible for the flight? Which part of the plane makes the plane fly? Somebody, come on.
Is it the wings? Is it the tail?
Yeah.
Is it cockpit?
The engine?
All the parts.
The tail.
Oh, somebody said the tail. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the answer is the plane isn't a full system. There is no actual individual parts that makes the plane fly, right? So all the parts together need to work together to make that thing happen. Same thing for a car. If you take a Toyota Camry and you think that by just changing the engine and putting a Ferrari engine in your Toyota Camry, you have a Ferrari, sorry, but no, it doesn't work like that, right? So you got to find a way to improve the overall system, not just parts of it. Even if you just change like the wheel, it changes the whole system. So this is what I mean here by system thinking. So Lean is really connected to system thinking. If we are Lean, we want to continuously learn. We want to find ways to do better, to improve, and to reduce waste. We're going to talk about waste in just a moment, okay? So if you are a Lean organization, you should be good at learning and finding ways to do better every time, okay? I want to show you real quick a short video about Lean in a certain way, if it's okay with you. I'm going to shut it off and share this real quick. It's a 50-second video. I think you might like it. So hold on, just gonna lose the audio for a second, and I'm gonna start this. Can you hear the audio? Yes? Okay, let's watch this. So I'm just going to pause real quick if you don't mind. So what you see on this video is different people working together. So you have four people working to build something. So there is some type of communication happening here. Let's look at what happens at the end. All right, guys, so hope you liked this one. I'm just going to turn on again my headset here real quick. But did you get the idea here? What did we learn from this video? You can write it in the chat if you want. But what did we learn from this video? I would love to have some interaction. That would be like I'm all about interactions in my presentation. So let me know. There is no stupid answer. There is no bad answer. So go ahead. What did we learn here? Was this lean? What was the end goal? What is the end result here? Any comments, please? Nothing? Wow, Pete, your group is so shy. It's crazy. Oh, I see Pete saying a lot of waste. Anybody? Information loses value as they pass from one person to the other. Exactly, right? You have all these silos. So the question here behind the video was, are you seeing these type of things in your companies right now, in your organizations? Are you seeing all these things? Are you getting the end result? I'm not going to say the S word, but are you seeing this type of things at the end of your project because people are not talking to each other, not face to face, but they're just like turning the back, right? So this is just an image to show you how not to be lean, right? So now that we've seen it, what is lean about, right? So what are the principles behind lean? What do we want to see if we are a real lean organization? We want to focus on quality. Quality is what? Is we have a solution that works and bring actual value to the customer. It doesn't harm the customer, doesn't create more problems to the customer. We want to learn pragmatically. We want to experiment. We want to assume less and try things to validate those assumptions, right? We want to keep options open. Sometimes we have experts in our companies saying, oh yeah, that's the solution. This is the way to go. This is the one and only way to go. But sometimes there are more than just one way to go. Just ask questions, ask around. Maybe you don't know what you don't know, right? So find ways to find options, not just focus on one goal and forget about the rest of the forest. Respect people, super important. Products and services are made by people for people. If you don't put the people in the center of that complexity, you're gonna fail. I'm sorry. Like I've been doing this for a few years now. I've seen it fail over and over again because of that little box there. Don't forget about your people, guys. Eliminate waste. We're gonna spend a little bit more time on waste here in just a moment, but find where the waste is. You have so many different types of waste, but find where it is and tackle it. Like use a bazooka if you want to, if you have to, but find a way to tackle that. Deliver value quickly. Sometimes we spend so much time analyzing and like asking questions. Yeah, I'm just going to double check these results and this data and stuff. Like, start building something. Come on, like just do something instead of just over analyzing things. It's good to analyze, but please try not to do it so much, right? Optimize the whole. We talked about the system earlier, right? So don't optimize just part of the system. You're like, oh, I'm just going to fix this part and put like a little bit of paint here, and it's going to be nice. No, it's gonna be a shortcut, not gonna work really well. And the last one, build in resilience. Fail. It's okay to fail. Fail fast, fail forward as much as you can. It might be costly to fail, but try to build that culture of failing and learning from those failures. That's kind of a nutshell what you can see here in the Lean principles. Once again, if you have any question, put it in the chat and we can discuss it after. We just wanted to kind of show you here what a lean system might look like. This is what we call a value stream map, okay, where you have the different steps. This is the example of a car repair shop. So what do you have here? Super easy. You have a customer. Remember, a value stream starts and ends with a customer, okay? So your customer books an appointment, brings his car to the car repair shop. They might order a few parts. The repair is done. He goes back, makes the payment, pick up the car, and the process is over. So you see, it's kind of the loop of that value being delivered. Now, why are we mapping this? Maybe between the time the customer brings the car and the parts are ordered, if there you have a 2-week period, I think your client is not going to be happy. Like, I have like kids to take to school and have to wait for 2 weeks without a car. What? That's a nightmare, right? Same thing for the repair. If the repair takes like 3 weeks, whoa, can you see the experience there? Not great, right? So just a visual way, and I'm using this method a lot right now in my current contract job. There is a lot of waste. We have a lot of delays, and we're late on the delivery for a big new CRM program. So we got to find a way to find and put the spotlight on where the waste is. So value stream mapping can be a good way of doing this and keep things lean. Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one here. Lean is about more quality, less waste, right? You want to make sure you identify those delays, identify where things are slowing down or quality is not built, and tackle it as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible. Sources of waste, different types, so many of them. I'm not going to I'm not going to read all of them. You guys are all awesome and smart. You can read, but a few that I wanted to point out is handoffs and handbacks, for example. Like I do the work, I do like some will take more time, some will take less time, but oh, now I have to give it to Pete. Okay, and Pete takes like 3 weeks to wait. I have actually a quick story about that one. I was a scrum master for a team, and I was trying to buy new software that would make the team more efficient. That software was like $200, like not no big deal. It's a plugin for Jira that I was trying to buy. And I go to my IT manager, my director, and I ask, okay, like, can we buy this thing? And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, we're gonna try. And he puts in the order, no problem. It goes in the process, and then it stops. And then we're waiting. We're like, okay, what's going on here? And when I did the investigation, we learned that that request was stuck for 3 weeks because a VP who had to authorize a $200 purchase, a VP who is paid like $300,000 a year, had to approve a $200 purchase. I'm like, wait, what? So see, an example of waste of time. My team in the meantime wasn't efficient. It wasn't working for them. So yeah, not great, right? Building the wrong thing. Are you still building something that has value in the context of your team or not? Ask yourself the question, right? So just a few examples of things you might identify in your organizations and that, yeah, you might want to tackle. Maybe ask for help from your management. When you identify those, don't go after them alone. Find ways to maybe work with management to tackle those issues. Okay. I don't see any question coming in, so I'm just gonna power through it if it's okay with you, Pete. All right. So deliver value quickly. How do you do that? Focus on time. Most companies focus on cost. Oh, this is gonna be too expensive to put in place this thing, but that $200 might save you $20,000. You never know, right? So like, look at how can this small investment make you more efficient. Find delays that you can remove. It's not just about speed, it's also about efficiency and what value you're building and you're creating over time, right? Try, and this is a tough one, I feel, for a big organization. Try to focus on the smaller things, like those quick wins you can have like quickly. Sometimes they're just right in front of you and you can't see them. So the batch size, having smaller batch size, limiting your WIP, for those who know Kanban, can make a big difference in the efficiency of your teams. So another lean tip here for you. Anybody knows about this one? Who created this one? This little loop here. A gentleman with a name that starts with a D. His first name is Edward. Who knows this one? Mohamed Diouf?
Deming.
Yeah, 10 points for you, Mohamed. Yes, Edward Deming, the PDCA. And you notice that usually we see plan, do, check, act, and here we have plan, do, study, act. All right, once again, it's all about that learning, right? So learning and then acting about it. So we have a little parallel here between the Deming cycle and the Kaizen loop we have if you ever take the Disciplined Agile training, we will learn the Kaizen loops here and see how you can plan. So you understand the problem first. It all starts with the problem. If you understand the problem well, then the rest is going to follow, okay? So identify possible solutions. Remember, options are important. You do something, you try. You don't just sit there and analyze. You also act on things. You start building stuff. You're going to fail on a few. You're going to learn on a few things. An example of that I have is SpaceX. When they started building their reusable rockets, they failed many times before having that thing that works, right? They tried, they learned. Like, and that Elon Musk guy, he spent a lot of money on this thing, right? So, but at the end, hey, they've learned stuff on the failures. They've learned also on their successes, and look at where they are now, right? So keep that in mind. I have a short story here about, just to close on the lean part. Something that I tried. I was on a contract. I was a product owner for a banking company, banking institution, and One day I have one of my key stakeholders that comes to me and say, hey, I have this great idea. I'm sure this is going to work. Like, this is a great product. It's a great service. Come on, Alex, let's do it. You're the product owner. Yeah, let's do it. Like, and I asked the question, okay, John, how much do you want to invest on this idea? And I'm like, and he's like, oh, I have $1.5 million to invest on this. It's really a great lending product, and I'm sure the clients want this. This is going to work. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, fine. You have $1.5 million to invest. No problem. What would you say? I mean, how do you know it's going to work, by the way? No answer. Oh, no, I have my experience. I've tried it somewhere else. It worked. Like, this is going to work here too. Okay, fine. Let's do this. Let's invest 20,000 of that 1.5 million, okay? And let's see if there is an actual need on the market. So what we did, we wanted to add a new feature, a new product on our website. So we just created actually a new menu, and that menu pointed out towards a page saying new product coming soon with a little form to fill to say, I'm interested, send. And there was actually no product created. It was just a page to test and validate an assumption. So we created the menu, created the section on the website, and waited. We waited for 2 months to see how the market and our visitors reacted. What we learned is only 2% of the visitors actually clicked on that link. And I came back to John with the data saying, hey, John, only 2% of our visitors are interested by your great idea. What are we doing with this now? What do you think? We just killed the project right there, and we saved a little bit of money. So do 1.5 million minus 20,000. So that's how you can find a way to keep things lean, right? So, and this was an actual story. So we did save a little bit of money for the company, and yeah, by experimenting, saved some time and some money and reduced waste. Okay. Any question? How are we doing, Pete? Still good?
Yeah, we are doing very, very good. I just want to encourage people, if anything comes to mind in terms of questions, type in the chat box. Alex will help us at the end during the Q&A session. Okay.
I'll be happy to. Awesome. So we're done talking about lean. Let's jump into agile now. Oh, one of my favorites. Agile. So what is agile? People are going to be, yeah, agile is a methodology. Agile is this new thing. It's the new buzz, the new cool things that you can use on the market, right? So agile is first of all a mindset. What does it mean? Like you accept certain principles, right? You accept that if you are agile, this is the way you're going to behave. This is what you're going to prioritize and put more effort and more attention on. So I like really once again, I'm visual, so I wanted to share this little visual about agile. So 2 aspects, just like in the brain, you have a left brain, right? So doing agile and being agile go together. Agility is a set of values and principles linked to practices to create great products. That's the way I see agile. You cannot have one part and not have the other. If I have just the principles and the values, it's just going to be kumbaya and yeah, we're good, we're fun, we have psychological safety, yeah, we're cool, we're happy. Okay, are we actually building something with this? Like that's the practicality and the pragmatic part of it. Yes, we have the values and principles, but we also want to make sure we have the practices and we're actually building stuff with all that blah, blah, right? So just kind of a little story behind this visual here. I hope it makes sense for all of you guys. This is made by a company called ZenX Machina. Really great visual. I love it. I use it in my trainings. I think it's a great way to kind of illustrate the elements that are important when you accept that you are agile. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this part here, but just remember, right? It's about iterations, fast value delivery, and also creating consumable solutions. Not just creating documents, creating actual solutions to problems. Documents are important, don't get me wrong. We want to have those documents. Like I'm looking at you guys, project managers, looking at me like, yeah, no, I want my documents. Yeah, you'll have your documents, but the customer there doesn't want just the document and the big Bible you're gonna put on the desk saying, yeah, I have my requirements done. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, but he wants a solution. He wants an app, he wants a mobile web portal, he wants a whatever product you promised that customer. So remember that. The customer wants something, not really your documentation. Maybe the customer wants a documentation at some point, but you know what I mean, right? Who haven't heard about the Agile Manifesto? Raise your hand. Who have never heard about the Agile Manifesto? You can use the feature on Zoom and just raise your hand and say, yeah, I don't know what this thing is. So I'm assuming everybody have heard this thing. If everybody have heard this, I'm going to skip it. So, oh, we have someone. Okay, then I can spend a little bit of time on this real quick for Yeoma. Okay. So this is what we call the Agile Manifesto, where you have 4 values and 12 principles. I don't have the 12 principles here, but if you go on the website here, agilemanifesto.org, you will have the values and the principle in there. Just wanted to focus on the 4 values here because a lot of people, I think, are misreading them. And there is actually, I feel like the part that is more important to me is the line that is in the bottom. That's the part that most people don't read. So I'm going to start reading that first, okay? That is why there is value in the items on the right. We value the items on the left more. I'll repeat. While there is value on the items on the right, these here, we value the items on the left more. That means if I'm agile, if I'm adopting the agile ways of working, I will spend more time on individuals, on people, and the way they work and interact together versus the tools like, are we going to use Jira or Azure DevOps, or are we going to do this process or the other one? Like, that's important. We want to talk about that. But if we are agile, we're going to spend more time on the people and the way they collaborate. Working solutions. So actually, in the real Agile Manifesto, it's written working software, but Agile goes beyond the software industry. It goes in so many different spheres, right? So I changed it for solution. I highlighted it here. So working solution over comprehensive documentation. I just mentioned that earlier. You want that documentation, but if you can have the working solutions and get feedback from that, it's even better. Collaboration with the customer. Work with your customer. I have a story in a moment about that part, but work with your customer to make sure you understand their needs. Yes, get the contracts ready. That's fine. That's important. Legal elements are super important, but work with your customer and ask what they really need. Respond to change. Oh my God, so important. People spend so much time building the perfect plan. Hey guys, you know what? Your plan, it's worth just a piece of paper that's on it. That's its own, right? Things are going to change. Things are going to evolve. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in an hour. So remember that things are going to change. Your plan is good, but things might change. So that's kind of an overview of the manifesto. I don't want to spend too much time. I hope I helped the person or the people who didn't hear about the manifesto before. Just wanted to kind of go over this. This is really a key element if you're talking about Agile, I think. Here, second story now. So I was working in a company building plane engines, okay, and working in the PMO. I was if you've seen those HR job postings where you see the PM/Scrum Master, I was one of those. And in the PMO, I've been assigned and I inherited, those failing projects that nobody wants to touch on. Like I got one of those. So just a bit about the context. Mark was my key stakeholder, and Mark was pissed. Like he just spent $1.8 million over the last 9 months, and he had zero. Like he wanted a solution, he wanted something. This is the problem that Mark had. Mark was the lead, the VP of sales and marketing, and he had a call center where they were talking to the big clients, the one who spent like millions to buy engines for their planes. And when the call center agent receive a call from the client saying, hey, I want to order an engine. Oh, did I lose the connection? Is it good now? Okay, yeah. So when the call center agent receives a call, he had to open 5 different windows to get the client account information. That was a nightmare. So the client is on the call waiting. I have to click here, click there, click here, click here. Like it wasn't working. So we had to find a solution to that problem. So when I joined the project, there was a team before me. There was a project manager before me who tried really his best to build something, and they were not able to do so. So we've learned from that. I went to see the history of the project real quick, and I started finding a product owner first. And what we did first is creating a backlog. So what are we trying to build? What's the story? What's the list of things we want to do? Then we worked on the vision. We hired a UX UI company, created the interface with the customer, not just alone in our little office. With the customer, we created the interface, and they started to see something like, oh, wow, this is going to look good. And we contributed to this thing, you can see. So the customers, the people in the agent, the call center could see the solution taking shape. Mark also started to see something. It's just a visual, but still, it looks like an empty shell, but like, hey, eventually you're going to be able to click here and like something magical is going to happen. Whoa, that's so cool. So that was the beginning. It was kind of a way to reboost the team and recreate that connection with the customer. And then from there, we hired a development team to actually make that happen and make that a reality, which we did. Hired a team, worked on this project for 4 months, and after 4 months, we had something that was still a beta, but it was working. We were able to connect all these windows, all these systems together, and create a portal, a unique portal, pointing towards all these sorts of information. At the end, long story short, it was a success. And 6 months later, that project called Customer 360, which is still working in that company, got an award of the best project of the year. Using just transparency and agile ways of working, we were able to build an awesome product. That's the story. Yeah, poor Mark. All right, so that was story number 2 for our agile section here. So once again, feel free if you have questions, I'll be happy to help. Moving on, let's talk about the nitty-gritty. So we talked about lean, we talked about agile. Let's talk about disciplined agile. What is this thing, disciplined agile? It's actually what we call a toolkit. So there are many, many things in there. Just a view of what is in agile. In disciplined agile, we have, oops, I think I have a little problem. My battery might die. Hold on. There we go. These things that happen when you're live. There we go. Better now. Awesome. Hold on. My things are syncing again. Come on. And we are back. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. So you can still see my screen? It's good? Excellent. So yeah, in Discipline Agile, the toolkit, the DA toolkit, you have many things. DevOps, Scrum, Safe, Spotify, you name it. Mark Lyons and Scott Embler did a great job of collecting all these different ways of working and finding a way to package it in an agnostic hybrid toolkit. What does it mean, agnostic? It means we're not there to sell you Safe, to sell you Scrum or Kanban or whatever. We're there to find the best way of working adapted to your reality, to your context. This is what agnostic is about. So I think that's what makes DA a pretty cool way of finding your way of working and building great products, right? So yeah, just an overview. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this part here, but I just wanted to expose you to the terminology differences. If you come from, let's say, a Scrum universe, and you hear we talk about iterations, hey, no, it's just a sprint, same thing, right? A team lead in DA is a Scrum Master. A part of the Scrum Master role is done by the team lead in DA. You have a daily Scrum in Scrum, and you'll have a daily coordination meeting in DA, etc., etc. So there's kind of a parallel I wanted to expose you to if you ever start using DA here, okay? DA comes with a mindset. We've seen the Agile mindset. This is the Discipline Agile mindset. In that mindset, you have 3 elements that you want to keep in mind: principles, promises, and guidelines. What's a principle? Principle is essentially, it's something valuable. Okay? It's a value that will drive a behavior. And I like these. I really like these. I'm just going to spend time most on these, and we'll browse over the others. But delight customers. Hey, I think you want your customers to be happy, right? Be awesome. Be you and your teams. You want them to be awesome, to be happy to work, to be happy to collaborate. The context, remember that what works in Africa might not work in Canada and vice versa, or in Australia, right? The context is really important. What used to work before the pandemic might not work now, right? So be pragmatic. Find a way to test your assumptions. Find practical ways to make things work. Have options, choice is good. Optimize the flow. If you have a pile of work every single day in front of you, you got to find a way to tackle that, right? So organize around the product. So put the product and the customer center and organize around those. Know the company, the system, That's what I mean here by enterprise awareness. Know your system, know your environment. Okay. All right. So promises. The one I'm going to talk about is psychological safety, real quick. If in your company you have a culture of fear, it's going to be hard to build trust, to bring some transparency. If you don't have those, how are you going to create connection between people? How are you going to be made aware of the issues? If you don't know the issues, things are going to blow and you will not know where it's coming from. So the way you build that culture in the company is essential to the success of your products. Remember that. Okay? Guidelines. You want to validate your learnings. We've seen it in the story earlier, right? With that app that we tried, like the little feature that we tried and added, right? So you want to make sure you don't just assume, oh yeah, it's going to be a good idea. I want to have the data confirm that it's actually a good idea. Just wanted to kind of show you here the steps of choosing your wow. So this is seen in detail during the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master class. We go through these different steps, understand the context, pick the best life cycle, that's what we're going to see in a moment, and make sure we find the way to agents and put those pieces together to build that product. Okay? So the 5 steps of the choosing your wow process. Just going to mark a pause here. Any question?
All right. So guys, I think it will be a good idea if you have any questions, clarifications, or even probably some ideas you want to share as well is also welcome. Remember, it's just a small community that we are building here. So feel free, feel free.
Hey, Pete, maybe I'm doing such a bad job and like they don't have any clue what I'm talking about. Like
Oh,
maybe they don't
yeah.
understand what
Oh, you're doing so good job that you covered every corner, every nook and cranny of what you're talking about.
doing my best here, trying to help as much as I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, feel free, okay? If you have questions, not clear, put it in the chat. I'll do my best to answer.
Yeah. So Mohammed just
Now,
corroborate my idea. You just say great job. You're doing a great job. Thanks, Mohammed.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So we covered Lean, Agile, the overall generalities about DA. Now let's focus specifically on those life cycles. So there are actually 6 life cycles, but unfortunately, due to a time constraint, we're going to focus just on 2 of them. Okay. What is a life cycle? What it's about? So if you are familiar with project management, you know that you need to plan stuff before you execute, and before you deploy, you need to test something and then put it in the hand of your customers, right? So this is what a life cycle is. You'll see a few terms and arrows and stuff. Don't let that confuse you, okay? At the end, you have an idea of a product, and you have a customer at the end receiving that product. So keep that in mind, okay? So the 6 life cycle I was talking about, Agile, Lean, then you have a version of these 2 that is kind of shortened if you want. Okay, we'll kind of discuss that real quick, but these are kind of cousins. So these here, Agile and Lean, have 3 phases: inception, construction, and transition. We'll see it in a moment. And this continuous delivery section for Agile and Lean focused just on the construction piece. So this is what you would see maybe like in a manufacturing company, a call center, where you have like a flow of things coming your way. These are the type of life cycles you might want to use there. Exploratory, this is my favorite. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an explorator. Like I love breaking stuff and trying new things. So this is a life cycle for people who want to try new ideas and explore uncharted territories. Okay. The program one, when you want to scale, when you want to work many teams, you want many teams to work together, that's your life cycle, that's your best friend there. Okay. So what I was mentioning just earlier, the different phases, because you will see this line here in the different life cycles. This is why I show you this. So remember, you start with a vision, with a plan, then you start building it, and then you put it in the hand of the customer. That's what this image is about, right? So here, the little loops you have is really, this is what we call the feedback loops or the learning loops also. Right? You want to have these different iterations, different loops to learn and evolve and go towards the transition, okay? So I won't spend a lot of time on this, but just to kind of explain that you have below these phases, you have different elements that are important. You want to start with the vision. So your stakeholder have something they need. So that's the idea to start with. you want to start building an initial architecture, you want to start building an initial solution, just to make sure, okay, can I actually build this? Do we have the technology? Do we have the skills to build this product? So if I can early in the stages build something to validate that, it's going to save us time and money. So this is what the proven architecture is about, right? So you want to make sure you have the, you want to make sure you validate that, yes, it makes sense to build this now, and it also will make sense to build it in 6 months maybe, right? Production ready. Are we ready? Will the solution work in production? So can we actually deploy this? Do we have the knowledge and the technology to put it out there? Delighted customer. How can we validate that we actually delivered value? How can we test that, hey, the product I gave Pete makes him happy or makes him mad at me? You need to have those mechanisms in place, okay? This is just an image, keep it as is. So remember what I was mentioning earlier, the different phases, you have them. So this is the representation of the lean lifecycle with the phases below and your milestone that we just discussed, right? So the below part, we just seen it. Now the upper part, what you have in there, this part on the left is about the company, the idea, the vision, what we have overall in the organization, right? And this is coming with the roadmaps, the vision, and all these things. And this is going to influence the blue box here, which is a mix of features, values that are in a backlog in a way, right? So that's the list of the work and all these things that needs to happen. We discuss these things every day. We work on it every day. And at the end, we need to release it using help from our people in IT, right? So it is an oversimplified way of reading this, I'll admit, but it's just a way so that you can understand the different blocks, the different pieces that you have in this life cycle, okay? So in a nutshell, where do you use the lean life cycle? You use it usually in this type of work. So it's small work, things that you can kind of predict, evaluate, and you want to have the small batches to use them, take them by the team and work on it and deploy. So it's just, you take the work to work on it, deploy it. So ideally for small bite pieces when you have this one. The agile lifecycle, kind of a little bit of a few similarities, also the phases. I'm not going to go back into these, right? But once again, comes from the organization, you know, your strategic level type of things that are coming to you, organized in a list of work items in a backlog. You work on them, you take a portion of that. So the iteration backlog is an extract of your product backlog. So you have a big list. So if this is your product backlog, we can say that a chapter maybe is an iteration backlog. It's a part of your backlog, okay? So your team is gonna focus on that small part, work on it, build something that they can show to the stakeholders or the customer, get some feedback, and move forward, right? So in an ideal world, usually that's the way it's gonna happen. And once again, it's gonna be deployed. You have the change request. If there is any change coming, let's go back to the initial backlog because we've learned something and we move on again with that. Looking at the time here. So once again, what type of work? It's usually new features that you want to build with an agile lifecycle. You want to use that in your early projects. You want to use that for teams that are new in agile. They're learning agile. This is a great lifecycle. If your team is new to these new practices, using this lifecycle might help them. This is my last story. We're at the last slide, Pete. So I'm just going to stop with, I'm going to close it with this short story. Any question before I go there? I see a few questions. So I'm going to go and jump right into those. But the last story is one that is really dear to my heart because it's all my stories are real stories. So this is something that happened to me and really sticked with me. I was in Montreal when the pandemic started. I was a Scrum Master for a team, an e-commerce company, a team that was building an e-commerce platform. The company was a retail company. We used to have like 15 shops, 15 grocery shops in Montreal. So people go there, they buy their fruits, their veggies, the meat, all these things, right? They buy food essentially, right? So these are essential for the community. You need to buy some food somewhere, right? So usually before the pandemic, people go in the store, they pay, they take the grocery, they go out, right? And what happened overnight? We are all confined in our homes. So the day before, we were all in the office doing our daily scrum, our events, doing all this stuff together, collocated. It was fun, great. The The next day we got a call, we got an email saying, hey, you don't need to come in the office, stay at home, work from home. That was tough. That was tough. Tough for me as a Scrum Master, finding ways to reconnect with my people, even remotely, but even harder for the team because they had to relearn to work together in a different context. They had to find a different meaning to what they were building. Because before we were just building new features to put on the e-commerce website, but now, overnight, we had to now help Paula, who is 65 years old, have respiratory problem and cannot go out to buy grocery. We had to find a way to get her food delivery in her place because she needs food because without food, she would probably die. So can you see the meaning in what you do in those type of contexts as a Scrum team? It's not just about code. It's not just about new feature on a website. It's about a difference and an impact you make in people's lives. So keep that in mind. Remind to your teams that what they're doing make a difference in someone's life. And that's what I have for today. Thank you guys for your attention. It's been a real pleasure.
Wow, wow.
I'll be waiting for your question.
Wow, wow. Before we go into questions, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex. They are very, very, very good. This is a very good session. A couple of things that I picked up. I like your story around, the $200 that is meant to save thousands of dollars, but that was a missed opportunity. It's really, really, I can identify with it because it happens to every time in organizations that I also support. So I'm sure everyone on this call will look for, we can see all those and-offs and overs, all those waiting periods in your organization. Those are opportunities to apply what you've learned today, to remove those, waiting times and making sure that things work well. Another nugget that I took is around Agile. Agile is first of all, is first of all a mindset. It's first of all a mindset, and you did that very well. And the story about Mark, I love the fact that 4 months of really building something that is consumable removed 9 months of nightmare. 9 months of nightmare, and
Show
it's
value.
magical. It's
Show value.
magical. I know. You can just try things out and then you see, I've been in a project that took so many years, and in 9 months, we're able to build a new platform. And ordinarily, it's been there for about 4 to 5 years. 9 months made a lot of difference, which is similar to what you have done. Now, let's go to the questions. There are 2 questions, and possibly more questions are going to come in. The first one is from Emeka. I'm not sure you can read it, but yeah, how do you tackle employees that show resistance to change when introducing a new process to alter their traditional workflow?
Pete, that's an easy question. You just fire them. That's the easy way. You just fire them. Come on, I'm joking, Emeka. I'm joking, of course. But no, the serious answer is first, empathy. That's the key word there. Listen to them. They probably know something you don't know. Ask them, hey, okay, like you don't want to try this. So take them aside. If you're the Scrum Master, the team lead of this team, talk to them. Take them aside and talk to them and try to understand. That's the first step. Then identify what's blocking there and maybe work with management. Maybe there is a way for them to facilitate that transition to the new way of working. That might be interesting. Then, I mean, you never know. Like it's really a step-by-step process. If at the end of the day, that person really doesn't want to know anything about this thing, you know what, man, just send it to management. Like they have the power to decide what to do with that person. But usually I would say, as a team lead, what I do usually is listen first, then I speak. First listen to that person, what she has to say, and then try different things to facilitate the transition. I hope it helped, Emeka.
Yeah,
Pete,
I can
if you want to add anything.
Yes, I would like to add something. Right. First of all, it's because of issues like this that we are here in the organizations. All of us on this call, including myself, Alex, these are problems, real problems that we face every time. Right. Also know that people are open to change, but people will not go at the same rate, which means someone that is resistant today doesn't mean tomorrow when it sees more context, when it sees more opportunity to improve, it will not improve. And so those are the things that we look for. And that goes back to what Alex said earlier on. Empathy, you can't go wrong with it. You can't go wrong with it. Be in their shoes. What are they seeing that you can't see? Or what are you seeing that they can't see at the moment? So if you're operating at a high level, come to the low level, make them see the high level. When you come to the low level and you peep inside and you say, oh, wow, I didn't know, then you can see what they are feeling. You can feel what they are feeling. And of course, you can begin the discussion. You can talk, which is the second point Alex really made. So it is not going to happen overnight, but over time it's going to happen. So you need a lot of patience. Now, after all said and done and nothing happens, what will you do? Maybe it's that such a person is not meant for your environment, for your context. So it's not about pushing them aside and firing them. Yeah, take them to another team where their skills will be needed. Except that person is really very, very, very difficult and it cannot work with anybody. Then you can say, oh, last resort, leave the organization, or they can leave themselves, actually. So that's what I will do. All right, cool. Thank you. Let's look at the second question. What would you recommend that Lean LC, that's a life cycle, is more suited to operational work? Is it more suited to operational work? I think that's the question. Would you recommend?
I would tend to wonder, what do Olalekan mean by operational work? Because you have operations in most companies, not to mention that I think all companies have a operational level, tactical and strategic. Depends on what are your operation, what are you building? Are you building cupcakes or are you building cars? Are you building plane engines? I don't know. This is a tough one, because if I tell you, okay, this is for operational work and just go that direction, I might not be helping you. So remember what we mentioned in the presentation here, context counts.
Yep.
So based on what you are doing and what you're actually building, the product you're working on, you want to use tools like DA, toolkits like DA to find the best lifecycle adapted to your context. And we do that actually during the class, the DASM class. We find we choose the best way of working. So I'm sorry, Olalekan, I don't want to orient you in one direction and say, okay, lean lifecycle is better for operational work. I don't think I can. I don't know for you, Pete, but there are different ways of answering this question. I want to hear from you, Pete, and I can maybe complement after that also.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So there is no one size fit all life cycle. There is none. It depends on your context. So the question to you, Lekon, is: are there wastes that are visible in your context, in your environment? When you look at your value stream, what can you see? Are there waiting period? Just like Alex's example, the person that is meant to do the signing is away on leave and we all have to wait. If that is an opportunity to now say, guys, how do we remove this waste? Are there waiting times? Are there handover? Someone needs to do something, or you've started a piece of work, but you need to hand over to someone to do his bit. And then after he finishes his bit, he hands over to you to complete it. All those things, what do we do? So if you can answer those questions and they are visible, then you need to just focus on areas where you can improve. And then you can say, oh, okay. And of course, if it's operationally, now, the context, I don't know. If it's an ongoing thing, whether you like it or not, it goes on. Otherwise, the organization is going to be out of job or out of the process. Then you can now say, let's do lean lifestyle. But again, you need to choose your wow. Context matters. Context matters every time. Context matters every time.
Absolutely, Pete. And I just mentioned that in the chat. So you want to find the best approach to validate that lean lifecycle is the best suited for your context. That's the short answer I can give you. So the short answer is maybe it's going to work for you, lean lifecycle, but just validate that. That's the best I can tell you.
Exactly. There are 6 life cycles, just like Alex mentioned, and each of them are suited depending on the context you find yourself. All right, cool. This is 5:59 my time. This is 1 minute to the hour. I would love to close as soon as possible. If there is any other question, you can forward it to me, forward it to Alex. We can definitely always reply back to you. I just want to end today with a challenge. The challenge to you is, what are you going to try out? Based on all the information you've received today, you've heard about today, the stories, what really works with you? What do you think you are going to try out? Look at those opportunities to try out Lean or Lean lifecycle, Agile or Agile lifecycle. No matter what you do, you are making a difference. How will you make a difference? So my challenge to you is, what are you going to try out? Just keep, this in mind. Go to your organization and try something amazing out. Now, I just want to specially say thank you to Alex. I know this time that you give to me or give to us here is really appreciated by everyone on this call. And I want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge with everyone here. And to everyone who has joined today, thank you. We continue to bring in good content, practicable content every time that we meet here. So see you in the next month. And then we bring another, Agile practitioner and Agile leader to really talk about anything Agile. So on this note, I will say, let's keep talking on LinkedIn, on other platforms until we meet again. Thank you so much, everyone. See you and bye for now.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, everyone. Take care.